Cool. Well, Dave's presentation segues really nicely into mine. I get to talk about the unnameable things. Over the last couple of years, and I'm with the Bear Lake Regional Commission, by the way, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm Mitch Poulson. For the last couple of years, we've done coliform monitoring on the bed of Bear Lake. Special thanks goes out to the Department of Environmental Quality's Division of Water Quality in Utah, Utah State University's Water Quality Extension, and Rocky Mountain Power. They're the ones that have helped fund this and provide staff and lab facilities for it. So the background, as a contaminant, there's a lot of pathogens available that we could sample for. There's a lot of spatial and temporal variability associated with monitoring for total coliforms, but these are directly related to health, and that was really what we wanted to identify because the lake's been so low for so long and we get so many people coming up and using it. And like Dave said, you see a boatload of people on North Beach, and you know, restroom facilities a quarter of a mile away, and there's not a line of people headed to them. It's also kind of a conservative monitoring protocol. And it's relatively inexpensive to sample, so we get a little bit of good baseline information that gets us going in the right direction, and then if it turns in, you know, if we start seeing problem areas, we can look to more precise and expensive protocols. So anyway, a little bit of background on lake bed use. We see about 500,000 visitors pass through US 89 a year. Primarily this is summer use. The use of Bear Lake has increased significantly over the last few years, and I can't remember the exact statistics, but every year it seems to go up. Even last year, in a down economy and high gas prices, you know, our tourism increased by about 12%, according to Judy Holbrook. And we see about 4,000 to 5,000 people on the shore of Bear Lake, and this is just on North Beach. This picture here was taken by Kirk Rich, who's in the audience today, and this is one of my favorite pictures because I can't fathom why this appeals to people. You know, there are roughly the same number of people on North Beach on just about, can I say any given holiday weekend, Kirk? As there are in the entire county of Bear Lake, which is pretty astonishing. None of them are residents because we're all avoiding it. That's right, we go on the weekdays. So anyway, a little clip of the visitation here. You can just see how it fluctuates up and down at state parks throughout the years. You can see that Utah's is significantly larger than Idaho's. That might be due to a number of different things. Locations that we sampled along the lake, North Beach, right around in this area, out in front of the Emerald Beach subdivision, Rainbow Cove, Cisco Beach, the Boy Scout camp, they've got a little cove area there. Also at Rendezvous Beach, Gus's Point. I mean, it's kind of a undocumented area, but you know, it's pretty popular. It's the area south of Gus's Point. It's a big long beach expanse, and it's free, so a lot of people go there. And then also we did a sampling at the marina. The protocol is at each location we collect 3 samples. The samples are then processed. We just run them down to Utah State University. If there's an elevated concentration that comes back, that requires an additional testing the following day. And then if you get sequential hits, then it requires you know, health department involvement. They really want to get more involved at that point because it becomes a public health issue. The methods we use, the samples are collected bi-monthly at heavy use locations, and specifically we hit areas right after the high usage weekend. So just a few days, if not the day after Memorial Day, we'd go out. And this corresponds to just about every 2 weeks, all summer long. So there's 8 locations, 3 samples per location, 7 trips. So we had 168 data points. And then we, you know, specifically take efforts to avoid contamination of the samples. So the results, oddly enough, you know, we really didn't see any real big problems there, problem areas. The 2 I can point out, this one right here came back as 900. It's called MPN, most probable number, and it was at the marina. And obviously we went back and did another routine test the next day, and it came back this was the test for the next day, and it was way low again. Pretty much the trend is that the higher concentration areas are at the most populated beach areas, so North Beach and Rendezvous Beach. This one was kind of high here, this one's kind of high, and then these ones here. But nothing that ever triggered any concern by the health department or the Division of Water Quality. Also, the samples that were taken in Bear Lake were the cleanest in the entire state of Utah during the summer use. So. The results, we had 168 samples collected at 8 locations. 58% of the samples collected registered 0, which I think is pretty good. One sample exceeded the threshold value, which was 409, and out of 168 samples, that's really not too bad. 2 locations, the Boy Scout camp and Cisco's, consistently registered negligible, so we won't be sampling at those locations in the upcoming summer. So with that, Marina and the North Beach had the highest concentrations. I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable to understand. The Marina one, we think it was just a bad sample because it recorded so high and then was almost negligible the next day. The weekends surrounding Independence Day and Raspberry Days were obviously the highest, and all the samples except for one were below that threshold value of 409. So. Anyway, we'll continue to do the monitoring, greater visibility and accessibility of facilities. We'd like to expand to include more of North Beach. I mean, North Beach is several miles long, and we end up sampling about a 30-foot area, which is kind of a drop in the bucket. We'd like to see some additional effort on the east side and keep the health departments a little bit more involved on this. So, anyway, anybody have any questions? Bryce. That's right. And it's good for you.
Yeah, so is this a non-issue, sanitary?
At this point, when you say non-issue, is it something that we need to be excited about? Are there areas of concern? Not too much. The sampling that we've done shows that there are elevated concentrations, but none that warrant closing beaches down or anything like that. So, yeah.
It's interesting to see now we have water inundating these areas that at one time probably, as Dave kind of alluded to, who knows what they did when they didn't go use the porta potties. This year might be a telltale to tell us what happened. Because at Lake Powell, several years back, a little place at Bullfrog called Hubby Cat Beach. Lake went down. People had just done their stuff, buried on the beach. Water came back up, inundated it, and then that year they had high coliform records. So,
yeah, it will be interesting to see, and especially since I don't think you can fit that many people on North Beach when the water comes up. It's just they don't have the square footage. That's really up to the health department to define, and they have not informed us what they do at that point. So.
What about the cattle? Have they stopped those going on the beach, or because that's still not done? I mean, that would certainly be a lot, but it wouldn't be vital, terrible stuff like the unnamables.
Yeah, well, and interestingly enough, we don't really sample anywhere where I understand where the cows go, and we have never sampled over there. So that's a good question. I don't have an answer to that. I think it comes down to personal cattle management. Yes.
Why do you think that is, that we've had this real influx of population, and yet your tests are showing really good stuff? What's going on here? I would have thought it would have been just the opposite.
Well, maybe the people are more responsible than we give them credit for. I actually don't know. I mean, it could be.
What's your criteria for your testing?
It could be a lot of things. E. coli are susceptible to UV, and we are sampling in the near shore area, which gets a lot of a lot of the UV.
You're sampling in the water, though, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
It won't show up until there's water on the land right now.
So yeah, I thought it was quite interesting as well that it wasn't showing up any more than it was. And it could be that we weren't sampling in the right locations.
What about sampling the dirt or like he was saying, back behind everything?
Yeah, that's a good.
Do that?
No, we have not been doing soil samples on that. It would be difficult to do that. I mean, you would have to, with water, E. coli have a tendency to travel. I mean, it's a traveling medium in the sand. I don't think they travel. Yeah, Brian.
Just a point to keep in mind, I guess, for future years as the water inevitably will go back down as the sanitation facilities that you had mentioned. A lot of times you see them up along the highway, but not down on the sand where it's easily accessible for people to get to the porta potties. Over the years, I've worked with many of the people that provide those, and their problem is that those big heavy service trucks usually get stuck if they go down, depending on the location where the sand is, versus just a lightweight regular car people drive down there. So that's the problem when they get one of those big heavy trucks stuck. That's why they can't get down there. But maybe a solution could be found where they get a more heavy duty, all-wheel drive truck, or where, depending on the location. But just a thing to keep in mind that obviously we want the porta potties as close to the people as we can, but depending on the location and the conditions and the service truck that people have, may not be viable.
Sure. Any others?
Just over here,
Yeah.
Mrs. Paris, with water coming up, is that going to help or expand the mosquito problem?
I'm not a mosquito expert. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.